mettre ici?
Yes. We will sing Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Koramale. You know the lyrics. You have?
Je sais pas comment ça fait.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Koro More.
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Koro
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Koro More.
Krishna Chaitanya
Toma bina ke doya do jagat samsare. Toma bina ke doya do jagat samsare. Patita pavana hetu Padaya Avatara. Mosama Patita Prabhu Napai Beara. Mosama Patita Prabhu Napai Beara. Aha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi. Aha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi. Kripa Balabhana Karo Ami Boro Dukhi. Kripa Balabhana Karo Ami Boro Dukhi. Daya Koro Sitapati Advaita Gosai. Daya Koro Sitapati Advaita Gosai. Daya Koro Sitapati Advaita Tava kripa bole bhai Chaitanya Nitai. Tava kripa bole bhai Chaitanya Nitai. Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Srimati Subhadra Devi ki Shri Nitai Satyasuta ki
Jai.
Shri Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Nitai Gora Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to Shri Radha Pariseshwar Temple for the morning class. So today we will read from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 12, text 13 to 17, since there are no purports. And it's really well that we are here because it directly concerns Advaita Acharya, since today is the appearance day of Advaita Acharya. 13. Achyutananda Bada Sakacharya Nanda Anjanmase Villateno Chaitanya Charana. No. Okay. I'll just do it. Translation. A big branch of Advaita Acharya was Achyutananda, his son. From the beginning of his life, he engaged in the service of the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. Chaitanya Gosanira Guru Keshava Bharati Eipitara Vakya Sunni Dukha Pailati. When Achyutananda heard from his father that Keshava Bharati was the spiritual master of Lord Mahaprabhu, he was very unhappy. Jagat Guru Tumikara Aiche Upadesha Tomarae Upadesha Nasta Hailadesha. He told his father, your instruction that Keshava Bharati is the spiritual master of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will spoil the entire country. Chota Bhuvanera Guru Chaitanya Goshani Tandra Guru Anya Ekona Shastrinai. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the spiritual master of the 14 worlds. But you say that someone else is his spiritual master? This is not supported by any revealed scripture. Panchama Vashera Balaka Kahe Siddhante Rasara Shunya Paila Charya Santosha Apara. When Advaita Acharya heard this statement from his 5-year-old son Achyutananda, he felt great satisfaction because of his conclusive judgment. Okay. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So the purports are quite extensive. Let's see if we can read all of them. Commenting on verse 13 to 17, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives an extensive description of the descendants of Advaita Acharya. The Chaitanya Bhagavat Antya Kanda, chapter 9, states that Achyutananda was the eldest son of Advaita Acharya. The Sanskrit book Advaita Charita states that Advaita Acharya Prabhu had 3 sons, named Achyuta, Krishna Mishra, and Gopala Dasa, all born of the womb of his wife Sita Devi, who were devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Advaita Acharya also had 3 more sons, whose names were Balaram, Swarup, and Jagadish. Thus, there were 6 sons of Advaita Acharya. Amongst the 6 sons, 3 were strict followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And of these 3, Achyutananda was the eldest. Advaita Prabhu married in the beginning of the 15th century Sakabda. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to visit the village of Ramakeli while going from Jagannath Puri to Vrindavan during the Shakabda year 1433 and 1434, Achyutananda was only 5 years old. The Chaitanya Bhagavat Antyakanda 4th chapter describes Achyutananda at the time as Panchavarsha Vayasha Madhura Digambara, only 5 years old and standing naked. Therefore, it is to be concluded that Achyutananda was born sometime in the year 1428. Before the birth of Achyutananda, Advaita Prabhu's wife Sita Devi came to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at his birth. Thus, it is not possible that she had the other 3 sons by Advaita within the 21 years between 1407 and 1428 Sakabda. In an unauthorized book of the name Sitadvaita Charita, published in Bengali in the unauthorized newspaper Nityananda Dayini in 1792 Sakabda, it is mentioned that Achyutananda was a class friend of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. According to Chaitanya Bhagavat, this statement is not at all valid. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the renounced order of sannyas, he came to the house of Advaita Prabhu at Santipur in the year 1431 Sakabda. At that time, as stated in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antyakanda chapter 1, Achyutananda, the son of Advaita Prabhu, immediately came and fell down at the lotus feet of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord immediately took him on his lap, although he was not very clean, having dust all over his body. Lord Chaitanya said, "My dear Achyuta, Advaita Acharya is my father, and thus we are brothers." Before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his spiritual forms during his residence at Navadvip, he asked Sri Rama Pandit, Srinivasacharya's brother, to go to Shantipur and bring back Advaita Acharya. Achyutananda joined his father at that time. It is said, Advaitera Tanya Achyutananda Nama Parama Balaka Seho Kande Avirama. Achyutananda also joined in crying in transcendental bliss. Again, when Lord Chaitanya beat Advaita Acharya for explaining Srimad Bhagavatam from an impersonalist viewpoint, opposed to the principles of Bhakti Yoga, Achyutananda was also present. Therefore, all these incidents must have occurred only 2 or 3 years before Lord Chaitanya accepted the sannyas order. In the Chaitanya Bhagavatantyakanda, chapter 19, it is stated that Achyutananda, the son of Advaita Acharya, offered his obeisances to the Lord. Therefore, it should be concluded that from the very beginning of his life, Achyutananda was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, I will stop here because there is still one more page of purport. Om Ganati Minandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadam Kukam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamanam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vikamtam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Shri Rita Shri Vishakam Vitam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Prashritya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Nam Hare Nam Eva Kevalam Kalo Nasyeva Gatiranyataha. Hare Krishna. So today we are celebrating the most auspicious day of Advaita Acharya's appearance day, right before Lord Nityananda's appearance day. It is very relevant that we were reading those verses. So Advaita Acharya, as the different Lord's direct intimate associate, he comes to prepare the venue for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All the time we see that before Krishna advanced, he sends his associates to prepare, the field, to prepare the devotees, the different other associates who will play a role in his pastime. So it goes similarly for Gaura Lila. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, before coming, he sends Nityananda Prabhu, and even before Nityananda Prabhu, who appeared 12 years before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we had Advaita Acharya, who really came a long time before. He came around 50 years or 52 years before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advented in this planet. So it's really it took time. But that is the normal process, at least in the material world. In the spiritual world, we see that it's the opposite. First, Krishna comes, then who comes after Krishna? Balaram, who is Nityananda. And from Nityananda, who comes? One of his plenary expansion is Mahavishnu. In the Chaturvyuha that comes from Nityananda, from Balaram, there is this Mahavishnu. And who is Mahavishnu? In Gaura Lila, it's Advaita Acharya. So we see that we have this order. Usually in spiritual world it should be like Chaitanya, Nityananda, and Advaita, but in material world it's Advaita, Nityananda, and Chaitanya. Of course, Advaita Acharya is not just Mahavishnu. I'll just go a little bit into the tattva before going into the Leela. So, Advaita Acharya, he's twofold incarnation. There is Mahavishnu that creates this material world, Karanada Kashaya Vishnu, and also there is Sadashiva, Shiva, five-headed Shiva in Goloka. So both of them come into Advaita Acharya, and this is not something that is rare to have double, triple incarnation. We see that in Gaura Lila a lot. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna and Radha. Krishna in the mood of Radharani. So it's both together. You can say that Nityananda is Balaram, but actually he merges with Vishwarup. It's also two, although they are both Balaram. Haridas Thakur is also, several persons, let's say, several devotees. It's Prahlad Maharaj, it's also Brahma, it's Brahma Mahatapa. Three different incarnations are in Haridas Thakur. Gadadhar Pandit, it's not just Radharani, it's Radharani, but also Rukmini Devi. So there are like these several incarnations that take the form of one devotee. And Advaita Acharya is not an exception for that. And here we were talking about Achyutananda. Achyutananda, actually we see, if we go on into the purport of Srila Prabhupada, who takes it from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he describes that Achyutananda, according to Kavi Karnapur and his Gora Ganodesh Dipika, Achyutananda is Kartikeya. Who is Kartikeya? You know, it's another name for Skanda, or the one of the son of Brahma, the eldest, Shiva. Shishirada Parisishvara Jagannath Adeshna Devi Shunita So here we can see the parallel. Achyutananda is Kartikeya, the eldest son of Shiva. And we can see that Advaita Acharya is Sadashiva. Okay. And yeah. So we can see that Advaita Acharya is Vishnu Tattva. Is very important. It's not just like any regular devotee. If we read in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya in 5 features, we see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Bhakta Rupa, Nityananda is Bhakta Swarupa, and Advaita Acharya is Bhakta Avatara. So Advaita Acharya, he is the incarnation of devotee. But we can say the same for Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But there is always little nuances, subtlety. So Advaita Acharya, he's here to preach the Sankirtan movement, Bhakti Yoga, right? But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as well. And we can say that Advaita Acharya, he could have done it himself, everything, right? He's Vishnu Tattva. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's not every Kali Yuga that he comes. It's sometimes a different incarnation. It's not Swam Krishna that comes. It's this time we got it like very special. It's Krishna himself who came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But usually it's a different incarnation that we call Gora Narayan. Which is not directly Krishna. It's a Vishnu Tattva as well. But this time we got special mercy. We got Krishna himself. But Advaita Acharya, he could have done this mission of propagating the Sankirtan movement. But he didn't do it. He was fully, potent to do it. He had all the attributes of Krishna. When Krishna comes, he always keeps his aspects of Bhagavan. He has the 6 perfections, 6 opulences, the strength, the knowledge, and the beauty. Advaita Acharya was very beautiful. One of his other name was Kamalaksha, because he has lotus petaled eyes. It was his name before, when he took birth. It was not that a little baby came, welcome to this world, Advaita Acharya. No, he was not already Acharya, he was Kamalaksha, very beautiful baby. So Krishna, when he comes, he keeps all his attributes. And Advaita Acharya, he could have preached the movement of Sankirtan, the Kali Yuga Dharma. But no, he didn't do it. Why? Because he wanted, his Lord and Master to do it, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the relationship. He is still in the mood of servant. He's Bhakta. So he wanted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to take all the glories. It's the same as, let's say, Hanuman, when he went to Lanka and he found Sita Devi. He could have just taken Sita Devi and brought him back to Ramachandra. He could have destroyed all Lanka, but he didn't do it. Why? Because he wanted to keep the mood of his Lord and Master. Sita Devi wanted to be rescued by Lord Ramachandra, and he wanted Lord Ramachandra to get the glories of destroying Ravana and all the demons. Otherwise, he was fully capable, and he showed it. Like when they tried to set his tails on fire, he just set Lanka on fire in return, and he could have destroyed everyone. But he didn't do it. Same during the battle of Kurukshetra. Krishna could have killed all the Kurus, but he didn't do it because he wanted Arjuna to get that glory, and also he had some words to protect. Although we know that he's ready to break his promise just to protect his devotees after when he fights against Bhishma. So it was similar. Advaita Acharya, he wanted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to preach the Sankirtan mission. But he could have done it, He was protecting the devotees, the Vaishnavas, because at that time, Navadvipa was really like the stronghold of all the Gyanis and Shaktas. Lots of demigod worship, lots of Gyanis very puffed up by the knowledge of the Shastras. Bengal is known to be home of beautiful poets, and at that time Navadvip was the center of all the philosophers. They would come, they would discuss each other, there would be like lots of Digvijay, philosophers that try to compete against each others and win the title, I'm the best. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had to face one of them, Keshava Kashmiri. So Advaita Acharya, he was still trying to maintain this mood of bhakti. Every time devotees would be in trouble, they would come to see Advaita Acharya. And he would maintain the humor and protect them. Because also at that time, Bengal was under Muslim rules. So whenever devotees would do loud kirtan, they would be oppressed. Even here a little bit in Paris, when we go too loud on Harinam, up the neighbors, they call the police and we have to move or pack up and go. So it was like that also in that time, before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes. So Advaita Acharya was very disturbed by this mood, and he was feeling so compassionate about the devotees who wanted to, practice. He said, okay, if the Lord doesn't come, I will come and kill everyone with my Sudarshan chakra. I will kill all the miscreants, all the atheist people. And that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. This is something more emphasized on Chaitanya Bhagavat, that Advaita Acharya, he was threatening to kill with his Sudarshan chakra. It's only Krishna who can have Sudarshana chakra. And because of that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see more it's the worship of the Shalagram Shila with tulasi and water that brought Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But actually both versions are valid and they happen. It's just the emphasis is different between Chaitanya Bhagavat and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Because even in Chaitanya Bhagavat, we see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, oh, Nara, you wake me up, you called me, your loud shouting, your loud calls, that's what attracted me in this material world. I was lying peacefully on the ocean milk, and you had to just disturb my peace and call me and shout and force me to come here. But actually, this is all part of the Leela. because this is just the external reason. Preaching the Sankirtan movement is the external reason. That's why Advaita Acharya also didn't do it. He wanted to keep the glory for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wanted to experience something else, which was Radha Bhava. He wanted to feel what his pure devotee, his topmost devotee feels for him while serving him. I won't go into detail. This we keep for in a month for Gaur Purnim. But he wanted to feel this. And if Advaita Acharya had already, preached the Sankirtan movement, there's nothing left to do for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There's no need to advent. So also this is one of the reasons why Advaita Acharya didn't do it. Because Bhakta mood, he wants his Lord to be glorified, and he wants to preserve the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, Advaita Acharya, he called Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sometimes we see it's also Srinivasa Acharya's loud kirtan that attracted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the Mahaprakash Leela that Srila Prabhupada is describing a little bit here, it's when Chaitanya, he was displaying his godly, divine features to the open eyes for 21 hours, if I'm correct. He was sitting on the throne, the Vyasasan of Lord Vishnu, and being worshipped and displaying all his opulences in the house of Srivasacharya. And he was glorifying his devotees, calling every devotee by his name, and introducing them actually to the Navadvipa congregation, because not everybody knew each other. It was the first time, for instance, Haridas Thakur was introduced to the general assembly of devotees. And Haridas, very particular. That's also a role of Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya, he gave shelter to Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur, after he did all his youth pastimes, he came to take shelter at Shantipur. And he stayed long time with Advaita Acharya. There is a description in Chaitanya Bhagavat that when Lord Chaitanya advances, he comes. In Shantipur, there is Advaita Acharya and Haridas Thakur. They are dancing in ecstasy, they are shouting. They are dancing so much that the universe is trembling, and they are shouting so high, especially Advaita Acharya is roaring, and that the universe is shaking. And he is just like shouting, Haribol, Haribol. I made him come. He has arrived, because he was calling for him. And his shouting was shattering the universe. That's why it's also called Advaita Sima. Sima, like the lion. He looks like a lion with his beard and his loud kirtan. But Advaita Acharya, he was with Haridas Thakur already at that time. And he was trying to preserve that mood. Of course, he already knew Jagannath Mishra and Sachidevi, because he was none other the preceptor of his elder brother. Vishwarup, he was trained under Advaita Acharya. He was trained under, every day Vishwarup would go to, not to Shantipur, because it's very far. If you have been in Mayapur and Shantipur, it's quite far. You cannot go every day and walk, because there is some description. But Advaita Acharya, he had also a place in Navadvip where he would come and stay. Different devotees, they would have their own home, and have some place of residence in Navadvip. Recently, we celebrated Pundarika and Vidyanidhi's appearance. It was the same. He had a small house, also small house in Navadvip. So it was the same for Advaita Acharya. And every day, Vishwarup, which is Balaram also, and Nityananda, he would go and take the instruction, the teachings of Advaita Acharya. And so much he was convinced by the teaching, he decided, okay, I should take sannyas. I should take sannyas. And in that way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually already knew Advaita Acharya, because every day Sachi Devi, she would send little Nimai to go fetch Vishwarupa for prasad. And every time little Nimai would come into the assembly of Advaita Acharya, everybody would be like, wow, in awe. Wow, this beautiful baby is here. Children. And he would come and take Vishwarup back for prasadam. So Advaita, he had this relationship already with the family of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Sachi Devi, to be honest, she didn't like Advaita Acharya that much, because she blamed Advaita Acharya being the cause of losing her first son. Vishwarup, he took instructions, teaching from Advaita Acharya, and that's why he was convinced by Bhakti Yoga, and that he should take sannyas. So sannyas is considered like social suicide. You cut the bond with your family, with your friends, and you go. You just go and preach. So it was the same as she didn't have anymore his eldest son. So she had those bad feelings against Advaita Acharya. And Mahaprabhu, when he was older, he was aware of that. And he told her to forgive Advaita Acharya in her heart, otherwise she wouldn't be able to attain pure prema, although she was the mother of the universe. And that was one of the reasons Sachi Devi didn't want Nimai to study, because she was afraid that, okay, if he studies, he will know the Shastra, and then he will understand that I should practice Bhakti Yoga and so on, and maybe he will take sannyas again. So she was trying all her best to keep them apart. But you cannot separate the devotee from the object of the love for long. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, during this Mahaprakash Leela, he called for Advaita Acharya. He said, bring me Nara, bring me this person. Nara is also translated in Bengali as madman. Bring me this madman. He shouted so hard, so loudly, that he made me come here. And people didn't know, like, who is this? He said, go to Shantipur. And it's written here. He said to Rama Pandit, Srinivasa Acharya's brother, to go to Shantipur and bring back Advaita Acharya. And Achyutananda came, and also Sita Thakurani. And funny enough, they hid in Nandana Acharya's home. I don't know if you have already heard Nandana Acharya's home, but it seems that it's a common hideout for devotees, because Nityananda Prabhu also, the first time he came to Navadvip, he hid in Nandana Acharya's place, and the devotees couldn't find. It was the same for Advaita Acharya. He came, but he hid in Nandana Acharya's house, and nobody could find Advaita Acharya. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, okay, go to Ishwadayan. It's also another name of Nandana Acharya's palace. Very close. If you go to Mayapur, it's just really like, I would say 5 minutes walking once you go out of the of the premise of the Mayapur temple, and instead of going toward Yoga Pit, where the actual birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is and Shiva Sangam, you go the other way, and you will reach Nandanacharya's home. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he kind of reintroduced Advaita Acharya, re-established his position that Advaita Acharya didn't like, because he is the servant, he's in the mood of a servant, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all the time he was considering Advaita Acharya as his senior, as his spiritual master. There are several reasons. The age reason, because he is 52 years older than him. Although in Vaishnavism we know that the age is not always significative of the advancement, spiritual progress of the person. Like, Prahlad Maharaj, 5 years old, pure devotee. But still, in the case of Advaita Acharya, he was elder in age, but also senior in terms of he has this position of Acharya. He was preaching. And also, there is another reason. It's because Advaita Acharya, he is the god brother of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's spiritual master, Ishvara Puri. They are disciples of Madhavendra Puri. There are those three main disciples, Nityananda, Ishvara, and Advaita, who are disciples of Madhavendra Puri. So, you in our Vaishnava etiquette, you consider the god brothers of your spiritual master as your spiritual master as well. At least you give the same respect. So he was seeing Advaita Acharya as his spiritual master. But Advaita Acharya didn't like it, because Lord Chaitanya was his Lord. So he tried to do some scheme to be recognized as a servant. And this is also in the part of the purport I read, that in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Advaita Acharya was thinking, what could I do that would really make Chaitanya Mahaprabhu treat me as someone who is inferior to him? So he decided, okay, maybe I will preach impersonalism. He will present the Srimad Bhagavatam as being in a impersonalist way. Preach all the wrong Siddhanta. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at the time, it's very long story, how he goes with Nityananda. They go into the house, they want to go to Santipur, but on the way they stop, they take their bath in the Ganga, then they go to meet this Grihastha Sannyas, and then they finally come to Advaita Acharya, who is preaching in front of a lot of masses. He's preaching monism. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gets very angry. And what he does, just jumps on Advaita Acharya, takes him, and he put him on the ground and start to pummel him, punch him. You can imagine someone who is 52 years older. I don't know. It's like Priyarani, you would jump on Janananda Maharaj and start beating him. That's the difference age. It's like something crazy. Yeah? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he jumps on Advaita Acharya and start like beating him, like kicking him. And Advaita Acharya all along, he's like ecstasy. Oh, nice. He's like shouting, rolling. He's in ecstasy, crying of joy, because at least Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is chastising him, recognizing him, as inferior. You don't chastise your senior devotee. You chastise usually the seniors or the one you want to teach. So in that way, Advaita was very, very happy. At least now my position of servant is reestablished. And Prabhupada was quoting that event because Achyutananda was also there, just to reestablish the facts. But there were lots of play around that all the time between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Advaita Acharya. They would try to touch each other's feet during kirtan. They're dancing. Sometimes we see devotees doing that during kirtan, trying to pick the dust from the feet of other devotees. And that was also happening in Lord Chaitanya's kirtan. Advaita Acharya would try to get the dust of the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he would also do the same, and sometimes they would just roll on the ground, and Nityananda Prabhu, he would do the same. So this is the sweet relationship they had. There are many more things, but I think I cannot cover all of them here. It's 9 o'clock, so I will stop here. We have a couple of minutes if there are any questions, comments, addition. Probably have a lot that you can enlighten us.
I don't know anything about anything. But, one chapter is very nice in Chaitanya Charitamrita where like explain Advaita Acharya wants to be acknowledged as the servant of Mahaprabhu. So he's always trying to find ways. But in that chapter at the end he says, Dasosmi, I am his servant, I am his servant. So the mood of the servant is there even in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even in Krishna himself, he's always serving his devotees, and Vrindavan Lila especially that. Krishna serving his devotees in all the rasas. But in all his different manifestations, everyone feels I am a servant of Krishna. So Advaita Acharya in that chapter, it's the chapter 6 or 7, I don't know. But where it describes the glories of Nityananda and then after Advaita Acharya. And then Advaita Acharya says, Dasos, I am the servant of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Dasos, Dasos. So everyone from top to bottom really should that mood of being a servant. This is special. All the incarnation, but especially in Gaura Lila, they want to reach that mood. I am a servant, I am the servant of the servant of the servant. This is a special nectar that Mahaprabhu is revealing. Everyone wants to be a servant. So Advaita Acharya, who was so old, 72 years old, and Mahaprabhu was 20, 50 years more, 70. But I am a servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then there is fighting. Mahaprabhu wants to be the servant of Advaita. Advaita wants to be the servant. Nityananda wants to be the servant. Mahaprabhu wants to serve his elder brother. So big fighting to become a servant. In this world, we fight to become God, the first one, the biggest leader. But in Gaura Lila, everyone fights to become a servant. It's the relation of Gaura Lila. Very nice class. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Advaita Acharya ki,
Jai.
Chaitanya Charitamrita ki,
Jai.
Prabhupada ki,
Jai.
Jai.